You're not lazy, your brain is just exhausted. And those two things, they look identical from the outside. But they are two completely different problems with two completely different solutions because lazy people, they don't care, but you care. You think about changing your life constantly. You think about finally getting disciplined, getting focused, getting serious. You think about losing the weight, fixing your finances, getting your house organized, and being more patient with your kids. Finally, feeling like you're in control of your life again, because that version is there, but the action, it keeps disappearing. And that gap between who you want to be and what you actually do is slowly destroying your confidence. Because eventually, you stop trusting your own promises. You tell yourself that tomorrow, I'm going to get serious, and then tomorrow comes. You wake up tired because you stayed up late scrolling again. You rush to the morning, you go pick up fast food because you didn't meal prep anything again. Your job drained all your energy, and now it's 11:47 p.m., you're sitting on the couch watching a video that you don't even care about while your laundry sits in the dryer for the second day in a row now. And part of you is thinking, what's wrong with me? Because that's not laziness. That's what happens when your brain runs on empty for too long. And most people never realize that that's the real problem because from the outside, exhaustion looks like procrastination. Here's what actually happens. Most people, they already wake up mentally drained. So before their feet hit the floor, they're already checking notifications. They're looking at their text messages, checking their bank accounts, seeing what bills are about to come out, and checking what text messages they forgot to answer. Scrolling social media while their brain is still half asleep, and their nervous system is yet to feel a moment of peace before the pressure starts. That's why so many people feel stressed before their day even starts, because their brain wakes up with no direction and immediately starts reacting instead of thinking. And that's why you grab your phone automatically. But not because you consciously decided to, but because your brain, it wants engagement immediately. Once you start your day in reaction mode, you usually stay there for the rest of the day. And then your job, it takes whatever energy you have left. And most people, they massively underestimate how expensive life is, especially for those hardworking men who carry their responsibilities every day. You wake up and you're already tired. You're fighting traffic while you're half awake. You clock into your job and immediately somebody needs something from you. A machine is down. A customer's mad, production's behind, and your boss, he's asking questions, and your phone is going crazy, and all you're trying to do is focus. And then lunchtime comes, and instead of you mentally relaxing, you're just sitting in your truck, checking your bank balance, wondering if you should pay your electric bill or wait till Friday. Or you're texting your girl trying not to argue with her, but both of you are stressed and exhausted. Or your kids need money for school, and now you're trying to run the numbers to see if you can afford it. Your brain, it never fully relaxes, ever. Even during downtime, you're sitting there at dinner physically, but mentally, you're somewhere else. You're running the numbers in your head, thinking about overtime, thinking about debt, thinking about that sound that your car started to make yesterday. You're thinking about how fast your kids are growing up, but you're too mentally drained to even enjoy it. That is what they call cognitive load. That's unresolved pressure that's sitting in your nervous system all day, and eventually, your brain stops functioning like a focused brain and starts functioning like a survival brain. And that changes everything, because survival mode, it only has one goal, and that's to get you through the day, not build a better future. And that's why so many people feel stuck, even though they're trying hard, because all of their energy is going to maintaining a life that they already have. And now you have nothing left to create a new life. All of your energy is going to surviving paying the bills, surviving stress, surviving your job, surviving your responsibility. So when it's finally time for you to work on yourself, you have nothing left in the tank. And now it's nighttime, and everybody is blaming your discipline. But your evenings, they were decided hours earlier, because after your brain has spent all day reacting to stress, solving problems, handling pressure, it doesn't want to hear anything about growth. Your brain is only thinking about a relief. That's why you can sit on the couch just for 5 minutes, and now it's midnight. Because your brain wasn't looking for entertainment, it was looking for an escape. And that's why scrolling on your phone at night almost feels impossible to resist. That doesn't mean you're weak. That just means your nervous system is exhausted. Your brain, it just wants something that's easy, something that's stimulating, something that requires very little from you. And that's why it's easy for you to sit there and watch those random reels, watching sports clips, watching random videos of people arguing, or any of those videos that you don't really care about. But in the back of your mind, you already have that thought that maybe you should go shower, clean the kitchen, prep your food for tomorrow, or at least work out tonight. But your brain can't possibly handle one more difficult decision, and then the worst part happens. You start judging yourself for it, calling yourself weak, undisciplined, lazy, and meanwhile, your brain is operating exactly how an exhausted brain should operate, and that's why motivation keeps failing you. Because motivation, it doesn't work well on an overloaded nervous system. Your problem, isn't information because you already know what to do. Sleep better, eat better, work out, stop scrolling, be more intentional, wake up early. But you already know all this. The issue is that your mental bandwidth is gone, and once your brain becomes overloaded, that long-term thinking, it all disappears. And that's why people keep saying that once things calm down, they're going to focus on themselves. But things never calm down. There's always another bill to pay. There's always another problem, another expense, another stressful week. There's always something that's pulling for your attention. In survival mode, it consumes all the energy that you have just to maintain your current life, and eventually, your brain starts associating growth with exhaustion. That's why even the simplest tasks, they start to feel heavy. But not because they are heavy, but because your nervous system is already overloaded. So something as simple as meal prepping is going to feel exhausting when your brain is already cooked. Going to the gym feels overwhelming when you barely had enough energy to make it through your job. Cleaning the garage at night almost feels impossible when you've been under pressure for the last 12 hours. But an exhausted brain, it doesn't need more pressure, it needs less friction, and that's the part that most people miss. At 9 p.m., your future self and your exhausted self, they're not the same person. One of them, he wants abs. The other version of you just worked 10 hours straight, drove home in traffic just to eat dinner in his kitchen standing up, and now he's mentally checked out. One version of you, he wants financial freedom. The other version of you is sitting on the couch thinking that he doesn't have any more energy left for the night. So instead of you becoming this highly disciplined machine just overnight, pick the hard choices earlier in the day, like laying your clothes out before you go to bed, making your breakfast ahead of time, picking just one hard task to do for tomorrow, not 5, not 10, just one. So put your phone in another room by 9 p.m. so you lower the friction, because a tired brain is always going to pick the path of least resistance. That's not you being weak or lazy, that's your biology. And the crazy part is, those small wins, they matter way more than people realize, because confidence, it's not built by watching motivational speeches, it's built by showing evidence. Every time that you follow through on something, even when it's small, your brain records it. Even when you keep a promise to yourself, your brain records it. You doing even the smallest things, like getting up when your alarm goes off, drinking water all day instead of pop, and eventually, your brain starts to trust you again. Right now, part of the reason that change feels so hard for you is because your brain has seen this cycle too many times. I'll start Monday. I'm going to get serious this time. I'm done living like this. And then Friday comes. You're mentally exhausted again, so you fall back into the same routine. And eventually, your brain, it stops responding to those promises that you keep making. And that's why you can say that tomorrow, I'm changing my life, and feel absolutely nothing, because your brain has lost all confidence in anything that you say. And that's not because you're broken. It's because your evidence, it doesn't match your words. And the way out, it's not a bigger promise. It's a smaller, kept promise. One workout, one night when you're not scrolling on your phone for hours, one morning where you don't get on your phone immediately. That's all evidence. And one thing that most people completely ignore is that you have to recover, not escape, but actually recover. Because those are not the same thing. A lot of people have never truly let their nervous system slow down in years. There's always noise. The TV's playing in the background, TikTok's playing while you eat, YouTube's on while you shower. Real recovery, it looks boring nowadays. It might be you sitting on your back porch for 10 minutes before your house wakes up, or you just letting your brain breathe before the world pulls at you. It looks like you driving home in silence instead of you flooding your brain with more noise the second you get off from work. That's the kind of stuff that actually calms your nervous system down. That's the kind of stuff that restores your brain. That voice inside of you that wants more from life, it starts to get loud again, because you can't build a better life from a brain that never gets to recover. So let me say this clearly. You're not lazy and you're not broken. You're just somebody that's carrying a big load with very little recovery. And your brain adapted the same way all exhausted brains adapt. It went into protect mode. The goal now is not to shame your way out of this pattern. The goal is to interrupt it by less stimulation in the morning and more structure in the evening. Smaller promises, real recovery at night. Now this won't be a complete overhaul overnight, more of a recalibration. Because over time, the man that was stuck in survival mode, he starts to trust himself again. He starts to follow through again. He starts to build again. Not because he found some magical motivation, but because he finally gave his brain the structure and recovery that he actually needed. And honestly, you probably already know what more years of this same pattern is going to feel like. The only real question is whether tonight is the night that you finally start making life easier on yourself instead of harder.